a Pete Primeau fan.
Thank you for having me.
Your fans are like...
What an honor to be here, Pete. You're a legend. You're a rock star.
I'm a legend in my own mind, said my wife.
If I can do it, anybody can do it.
I'm Mr. Selling from the Heart. What's this guy, Larry Levine, going to teach me about selling from the heart?
You are one of the most generous and authentic people around, and I think that's why you and your show are so attractive to people.
Welcome to the Pete Primeau Show. It is episode 235, Market Edition. We are here with my friend Gordon Hecht, and we will get to him in just a second. We're going to be talking about mentors and more. This is going to be a good one. Buckle up, folks. Let's pay the bills first. If you haven't read my book, Sell a Million, what are you waiting for? 101 ways to create more traffic and be more profitable. The best compliment I ever got on this book is from my good friend Doug Stewart, who said, take the word furniture, take the word mattress out of it. It's just a great marketing book. And it is a great marketing book. And I'm very, very, very proud of that book. This one I'm even more proud of, because this one is a real sales book. Miles and miles of retail selling greatness. We figured out that I've traveled by car over 2 million miles in 43 years, and I have had some incredible mentors, and we have 10 other co-authors, guys like Jeff Janakovo, Brent Batterman, Chris Tahaney, Steve Carnes, Mark Klingenberg, Randy Thompson, Justin Trumbo, Mel Ott, Keith Castonguay, and I'm missing somebody, so I apologize. This retail sales book, this book right here, is sales agnostic in terms of a selling system. In the bonus chapter, you can read several selling systems if you want one, but the contents of the book works with every selling system. So it will help your salespeople sell more immediately, help them fall back in love with selling mattresses. If they have it, if they're brand new, it's a great way to get them started. And here's the interesting thing. If you have to do a Saturday sales meeting, this will give you enough ammunition for 3 years worth of Saturday sales meetings. So grab it on Amazon and let me pay the bills for the show. Steve and Greg, thank you very much for sponsoring the show. The Mattress Industry Network Group is the place to be. And shame on me. They're probably around 2,500 members by now, could be more. If you want to learn how to build, market, sell, and succeed in the mattress business, this is the place to be. And my friend Gordon finally joined the group in his retirement. He spent some time off of Facebook, which I am very jealous of, Gordon. But hit that QR code right there and join the group. It's a great group. Everybody's in here. You've got presidents of companies, manufacturing companies. You have sales reps. You've got VPs of sales. You have furniture store owners, mattress store owners, all kinds of different RSAs. Everybody's in here. So join the group, network. And it's a great little free group. It's the biggest one that I know of, and great people in here. So if you ever feel as a store owner that you're alone, you don't need to be alone. Join this group and get involved in the community and the conversations. And I guarantee you will be amazed at what you learn. And a lot of things that you had sneaking suspicions of, you'll confirm that you were right. And sometimes you'll find out that maybe you weren't, but it's great to learn from other people's experience. It's the most inexpensive way to learn anything. And if you want to learn how to sell more mattresses, I will encourage you guys to go to Scott Vaughn's Wingo Coaching Masterclass. It is at the end of September. I think it's September 28th, 29th, and 30th. It's in Nashville. Here's the cool part. It's in the Nashville airport. So you just fly in and you just, no Uber, no Lyft, no nothing. Just go check in and then go to class for a couple of days. Learn what it took Scott Vaughn to learn in a few days. Took him 20 years. And you'll see some of the quotes right there. I've been to all of them. They're great. And it's the best parts of people. Store owners who show up to paid events are special. They have a special hunger and a willingness to learn. And that's your tribe. And some of the communities that have sprung up after a Wingo coaching event that Scott has put on are amazing. Some of the best owners in the industry. And Scott, I say, and now his son, Jordan, who bought the business, pound for pound, population for population, the best mattress retailer in the United States. So there you got it. So without further ado, Gordon, welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, Pete.
Good afternoon. How are you doing, man?
Life is good in Missouri. We just relocated a couple of months back, and I actually had to buy furniture at retail.
Oh, that had to hurt.
It hurt a lot, but it gave me a lot of fodder for a few articles.
I bet. So listen, I knew you've always done some consulting. It looks like you're doing more consulting now than ever before. Catch me up to what you're up to.
I retired from Serta Simmons in December and took a month off, but I've been creating content for Brand Source Buying Group for their online and print magazine, and I've been doing it for about 10 years. And they came to me and offered me the opportunity to be a regular columnist for them and take it a step further and be an advisor to their members in the mattress field. And it's just been a blast. It keeps me absolutely in the business, and I'm getting to meet more manufacturers than I have before. So I spent some really, really good time with Paula Higginbotham from TSI and some time with the folks over at Corsicana and Maloof, and just it's just been a great experience for me.
Awesome. So I guess I will see you at the Brand Source show.
You will see me, and I'll put in my little plug. I will be teaching a master class Monday, August 4th at 1:30 local time, and it's called Survival and Success in a Competitive Bedding Market. And I don't know the location. I'm sure it'll be in the agenda. But 1:30, 1 hour class. We're going to cover about 35 topics in 55 minutes.
Ooh.
So rapid fire.
That's ambitious, my friend.
Yes, especially since it normally takes me 25 minutes to say hello. But
35 topics in 55 minutes.
Yeah, and so I know you're a car driver. I was really fortunate to be more of an airport person, and I've been on probably 33,000 flights at least. I've worked in every state in the continental U.S. and had the opportunity to visit more than 600 retail operations in my career, and so I just really best of the world, and unfortunately sometimes some of the worst of the world. But we learn from both. And I kind of boiled those down to what I think retailers can do right and build their business and do more than survive, but reach success.
That's awesome. I was talking to Jeff Janakovo this morning, and I said, "You're not going to believe who I've got on my show." He goes, "Who?" I said, "Gordon Hecht." He goes, "No way." I go, "Yes." He goes, "You know what? That is one of the smartest guys in our business." And here's the fascinating thing. What you said is so incredible. So I just want to unpack it a little bit. 600 unique stores, some of the biggest and the best, and some of the smallest and the worst, and everything in between. And when you're exposed to that kind of breadth and width of retailers, you start to notice things, especially if you're a student of retail. And Gordon, that's the one thing you and I have in common. You are an absolute student of retail. You notice everything. I am sure that, today, when you're evaluating a retailer, you start off with the website, you go to the social media, then you go to the parking lot, then you go to the front door, and the salesperson that greets you and all of that, and the merchandising and the display, the sales education, and the consistency of the message in between all of that stuff. And, we find patterns in our careers, and it's a very simple. Whoever is the most consistent, high-end guys can win. Low-end guys have won in the past. They're not winning right now because Mr. and Mrs. Jones is either she's not in the market, Gordon, or she's buying a cheap mattress on Amazon, one of the two, or a combination. So the high end has become much more important than it has been in the past. And I thank the good Lord for that. I think that's great. It's great for the consumer. It's great for the store owners. It's good for everybody. But the guys and the gals that win at retail are the ones who consistently advertise. They have something to say. They have a message that resonates with the retail customer. They put it out there in a consistent way across different media that they've determined works for them. And, when years ago, Gordon, when we started, it was like, okay, let's see your TV ads, let's see your radio ads, and let's see your newspaper ads. And then we added circulars. But that was it. Now, today, it's so much more complicated, right?
It's complicated, but it's also, in a lot of ways, it's a little easier, and it's also quite a bit less expensive, too.
It is less expensive.
If you think about, you couldn't run a business if you didn't have a yellow page listing.
Yes.
And that, where I started in retail in Las Vegas, just a listing, just to have your name in the yellow pages was about $180 a month in $1980. And then if you wanted to display ad, it could be $500 a month for, a 1 or 2 inch ad, but you had to have it. And you don't need yellow pages anymore. Newspaper got really, really expensive, and it's probably the weirdest. The more readership went down, the more expensive newspaper advertising became. And now, if whatever size store you have, you can shoot a video on your iPhone or your iPad. You can put it on social media for really little money. You can target your audience. You can target an audience in a completely different town if you wanted to, and you can measure the results of who's seeing your ad. So it's complicated. But it's learnable. You can learn those skills to do it. And particularly in Facebook, I think they do a really good job of walking you through how to create an ad, how to boost it, how to pay for it. And $25 worth of boosting gets you 2,500 eyeballs. And I don't think there's a better value in marketing today.
That's awesome. So, let's talk about mentors.
All right.
Gordon, you must have had some fabulous mentors, because nobody just ends up like where you end up with this body of knowledge and this inquisitiveness and this this ability and this hunger to share knowledge. So tell me about your mentors.
So one thing we have in common, Pete, is you and I got into business around the same decade. And I started as a delivery helper in the early 70s. And I started my sales career in 1977, but I worked mostly dirty window stores. And you didn't need a lot of sales ability to do that. And in 1979, I got a job in Las Vegas at the Drexel Heritage Showroom. Very high end for that time. Great time to be in that format, because there was a lot of money in Las Vegas at that time. But nonetheless, I was 21 years old when I started with them. I owned one sport jacket and two ties, and ties that you could actually cover a car with. And as we like to say, the pattern looked like the test pattern on Channel 6. But those are my two ties. And I'll be very candid, I struggled. And I worked really, really hard, but I just struggled. But what you and I also had in common is we got to work with a generation that was leaving the sales forces about the same time we were coming in. And these were mostly men. So I'll say salesmen, because that's what they were. They were the guys that fought in World War II. They fought in Korea. They didn't go to college, and selling was their profession, and they treated it like a profession. They learned how to get better. And I was really fortunate that a particular gentleman, his name is Jay Merrick, he had owned a chain of sewing machine and vacuum cleaner centers in Los Angeles, sold them, moved to Las Vegas, and came to work at that store. And he came to me one day and he said, "I see you're struggling." And I said, "I'm doing okay." Because "You're not doing okay. You need some help." So Jay at that time, when I met him, he was many times over a millionaire that was bored sitting around at home. And he said to me, "What would you change in your sales process if you had $1 million in the bank? If you didn't need to close that next customer to feed your family, if you had $1 million, what would you change?" And of course, being a dumb kid, I said, "I don't know." And he said, "Well, think about it." And some of the things I came back with at that time was absolutely, no matter what, I would be 100% honest with that customer. If something took 12 weeks to get, I wouldn't tell them 10 to 12 or 9 to 12. I would say it takes 12 weeks. It could take 13. If something was going on sale the next day and I knew it, I would help them to say, "Let's pick it all out today. We've got a huge sale tomorrow. You could probably save a couple $100, and we'll run the sale through tomorrow." I would tell them everything the product could do, but I could also tell them everything the product couldn't do. So if that customer came in and they talked about their pet dogs and they talked about their kids and so on, and they wanted that white cotton or Haitian cotton sofa at that time, the uncleanable material, then I would say, "You can certainly buy this sofa, but let me tell you what's going to happen in 6 months and a year." Number two is I would focus on one shopper at a time, that person who was in front of me. And it doesn't matter if you're a manufacturer's rep working in Vegas or a buying group show, or if you're a retail person and you've got tons of ups coming into the store. Focus, as we like to say, love the one you're with, and give them your full attention. Don't look over your shoulder. Don't look to see who else is writing a sale. Work
That
with
was
the
a
one.
song from our generation.
It was, yep. The next thing I would do is I would pick out a total solution for them. So at that time, it was a full line furniture store. People came in and they'd say, we need to buy a new couch. Well, they didn't need a new couch. They needed a new room. So if you put a new couch in with old furniture, all the other furniture looks worse. And I would work to get a complete solution for everything that they need in that room and probably the next room after that. But then I would let them pick out the parts that they wanted to buy today. So I let the customer buy to their budget, to their creditability. And then the other thing that I would do was follow up with that customer. And finally, if I had $1 million, I told them I would help the other RSAs on the floor. I would help the other sales to create revenue. So whether it was to grab a swatch for them or help them put swatches away or move lamps around, or I was a pretty big guy. I'm still a pretty big guy. If it was, hey, can you bring that cocktail table over here? That's when you work like a team.
Wow.
So Jay.
So the irony of this whole thing is he did have $1 million.
Yeah.
He was a great teammate, and he reached out to a struggling kid who's now become a legend. That's special.
Yeah. And to this day, when I train a sales class, and Chris, if you could bring up Jay's rules for selling. So I use Jay's rules in my class. And the first rule that Jay taught me is people love to buy, but they cannot be sold. And for our friends that are in retail, when you get a customer that's got a problem with a product and they call you, the first thing they're going to say is, you guys sold me the wrong mattress. But if they love their mattress and they tell their friends, they're going to say, we bought the most fabulous mattress from Bill's Bedding Barn. So people love to buy. We love to spend money. We just don't want to be sold. Rule number 2 was people will always buy from a friend, but it cannot be sold by a stranger. That first 90 seconds, 120 seconds you spend with a customer, that's a non-business greeting to find out about their day or how was it getting through traffic today. If you work to get to know them as a person, then the easier your sale is. If you're a stranger to them, you're just one extra person. Make sure when you introduce yourself, you use their name, ask for their name. One of the really nice things I had living in Florida, and we were in Florida for 4 years, is I got to work once a month in the local America's Mattress store there. And it was a really great experience. A lot of seniors in Florida. It's a mattress store, not a lot of traffic. We'd spend an hour talking about their grandchildren, talking about their children, talking about their needs and so on. And people that came in and said, I don't want that adjustable base, or I have a pillow, I already have pillows. They ended up buying complete sleep solutions from me because I could spend an hour and 90 minutes with them. And in today's environment, the last rule is the most important. All things being equal, we already know this. All things being equal, people will buy from people they like. But the second part, all things being unequal, they will still buy from people they like.
Yep. Jay had it going on, man. It's no accident that dude made himself a millionaire.
Yes, yep. And he was just so willing to share, and just unfortunately long gone, but his legend lives on today.
Yeah, we're talking about him right now, right?
We are. So I spent 8 years at Drexel Heritage, and I actually ended up becoming their youngest store manager. I was a store manager at 25.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's insane, dude.
And when you're a store manager at 25, the really nice thing is you know everything. But the really bad thing is you really don't know everything. But I wish I could go back in time. But I worked with a great group of people. And that particular store ended up getting purchased by RB Furniture. and I became a multi-store manager for RB Furniture at about age 27. So
let me unpack this for people that don't understand, our younger friends. So Drexel Heritage was the store, and the brand, beautiful quality furniture, and people who bought Drexel Heritage were very well-heeled people, very well-heeled. So he was not selling. You need to understand, everybody that's watching needs to understand this. He was leading a sales force, and they were not selling like middle America. They were selling upper, maybe some upper middle America, but not much. It was people with high expectations, people with extraordinary taste and an extraordinary budget. So to be a 25-year-old manager in this situation is an incredible accomplishment, that the ownership was confident in Gordon's ability to do this. So I just wanted to point that out. It's
well, thank you.
I can't, today I can't compare Drexel to an Ashley store. I mean, poor guys from Drexel would be rolling over in their grave if I said that. They're really, I guess the closest thing I can think of is maybe an Ethan Allen, maybe, but are there even Ethan Allens anymore? Are they gone too?
I think there's still a few, but like a West Elm maybe, or Roche Bourbois kind of a thing.
Yeah. Thank you for helping me kind of draw that out.
So 2 more stores were not allowed in.
So right after you finished your so how long were you with Drexel?
Total of 8 years.
Wow.
So about 21 to 29.
And is the next store more of a middle range store, or is it still upper end? You're still in the
On a good day, it would be a middle end store.
Okay.
So
so more promotional to
more
middle.
promotional. Yep. So I worked for across the street in our parking lot was a dinette and barstool store in Las Vegas, and this gentleman who owned it, and we're still in touch today, he would come to me and say, come work for me. And I was a dumb 28-year-old kid, 27-year-old kid, and I'd say, you can't afford to pay me. And when I was about 29 years old, he came up with a very much of an incentive-based program, but I could exceed my earnings there. And it was really a great step for me, because you probably heard sell to the classes and eat with the masses, sell to the masses and eat with the classes.
Yep.
And that was very much true during the 1980s, because interest rates were high. Retail was not great at that time, but also there was about 4,000 families moving into Las Vegas every month at that time. And this was a dinette, bar and stool place. And 2 things you need when you move is you need a place to sleep and a place to eat. And so I worked for the place to eat. And what was really great about it was in a short period of time, I had almost year control of the operations. So in charge of the buying. So every morning I'd get to the store about 8 o'clock, make sure the delivery trucks got out, helped with assembling the dinettes, which was not to the degree that it is today, but the lines that they carried, Cal Style and Douglas and lines like that. So it's 4 or 5 screws to put something together. Made sure that things were deluxe. Then I would do buying, work with the advertising, and then I would spend 2/3 of my time selling too, and making up the bank deposit and so on. And always loved to do promotional things. And when business would get tight, I would say, let's run something like near cost. Let's do something, a loss leader to bring in traffic. And the gentleman I work for, we can bring up Ron's rules, Chris.
You and Chris got this whole thing going on. I didn't even know anything about. This is great.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
glad you guys figured this out.
So Ron said to me, the best way to make money is to make money. And it seems so silly and simple, but it's true. You've got to make money on every transaction. You've got to make sure that everything in your store pays for itself. Um, if you're in the mattress business and you've got 35 floor samples, is every one of those mattresses paying its rent? And
Yep.
and that's an easy thing to figure. Mattress is about 75 square feet of display space. Figure out what your rent is. If your rent is $3 per square foot a month, just as a number, that's $225. If that mattress isn't giving you $225 of net profit, it's not worthwhile to have it on the floor.
Yep, 100%. So Ron is your next really kind of big mentor, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And so he basically recruited you away, right? But you were running the store. So, I mean, when you're running a store, and I've run stores, your day starts early, it ends late. You're dealing with people and all kinds of problems all day long. The most remarkable thing that you told me is that you still spent 2/3 of your time selling on the floor. It's like, that's incredible. Was it that were you that organized, or you just love selling that much that you just wanted to be on the floor, or you felt like you needed to be on the floor leading the sales charge?
I don't know. I think I was organized. I got into a groove.
Yeah.
What was really nice is the metamorphosis from being hired to run a store to being hired to run a business, which is completely different.
Yes.
It was over 8 months to a year, so it wasn't where he vacated his position 100%, or he never really did. But I was responsible for 85% of operations and sales and training on both ends on it. And also the other thing is, at that time, a bar stool sale or dinette sale was not as involved as working for Drexel Heritage. So
Right.
most sales conversations were 20 to 40 minutes.
As opposed to 4 to 5 hours.
All day. Yeah, it could be hours.
And
Yeah.
they could go on all day, especially when they
It was
brought
pretty
the
much like,
designers in.
yeah.
And did you have designers in
like-
that store? Did you have designers
At the
as
Drexel
well?
store?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Most of those stores did have designers. And that's, you want to talk about dealing with personalities. You got to deal with a delivery driver, and then you got to then you got to deal with a designer, and how you handle those two different sets of personalities is very different, to say the least.
Well, I fortunately had that 4 years of experience of being a delivery person while I was going to college. So I always felt like I could pack a truck as good or better than anybody else, and knew how to work in the customers' homes. And very candidly, there was times that we had two delivery people, and if one celebrated too much on Friday night, sometimes I was that delivery person on Saturday. And that's when we changed to paying the delivery people on Saturday.
I've been on a delivery truck more than one time, and my worst, the dumbest thing I ever did in my life. I was working for Bob Sherman at Serta, and Bob gave me an incredible opportunity, great responsibility. I was the GM for the mattress stores up in Wisconsin, formerly owned by the Bernstein brothers. And that Bernstein went on to become a training legend at Sealy, and was instrumental in helping me get a job as a rep because I was a horrible interview. He actually coached me and helped me immensely. But I fired the entire delivery crew on a Saturday morning. Now, what I should have done, given all these years of experience and knowing that I didn't finish my last delivery till 2 a.m, we were calling customers ahead of time and we were saying, hey, we can't make this during the normal window. I can deliver it between 7 and 8. Is that okay? And then the next one, I can deliver between 8 and 9 and 9 and 10. And I thought by 11, they're going to tap out. But I was in people's houses till 2 a.m. because they wanted their stuff. Wow. And this is what I learned. Store owners out there, here's your lesson from me. Don't ever fire delivery drivers in the morning. Let them finish their deliveries and then fire them afterwards.
That's a good lesson.
You feel like making all those deliveries.
That's right. So I spent another 7.5, 8 years with Ron. And my wife and I decided that we wanted to move from Las Vegas and seek other opportunities. And eventually I landed up in a store that I am 90% confident that you were in, Pete, which was Glick's Furniture on Morse Road in Columbus.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay, so you're familiar with that store.
Great stores.
And that particular store, and I was store manager in 1995, and every Saturday was 500 ops. That was a very typical up count. And the store ran 17 to 20 salespeople. And I was really blessed to have one incredible assistant manager when I started. So I was hired as a store manager there. And sometimes your mentors, almost always your mentors are older, but my particular mentor, Mike, he's younger than me. He's 5 years younger than me. On our move out here, we spent some time at his house, moving from Florida to Missouri. And he gave me some valuable advice that I've used over and over again, especially at CERTA. And if we could pull up Mike's rule. There it comes. So Mike's rule for business was dress, act, and think like the position that you want. And Mike had been a salesperson for them. He was trained as a teacher for Dublin School District. And like a lot of teachers, you get into the field and it's a very unrewarding career. And it's very repetitive. Your boss never sees you. He said, my principal would come in once a year and say, good job or bad job. So Mike went into selling. He sold for Glick's. Very quickly became one of their top salespeople, and he dressed sharp. He acted sharp. He couldn't wait for the next up to come in, and loved to take the overflow. And he wanted to become an assistant manager and did that. And then he wanted to become a store manager, and he acted like a store manager, even though he was an assistant. He took a lot of the things that I would normally have to do and took them away from me, and did it himself. Became a store manager. Flash forward a few years later, he went into commercial flooring and owned an extremely successful commercial flooring business. Probably never thought he would do that going to Bowling Green College. And so if you're working in a store and you say, wow, one day I'd like to go into management, start being a manager.
Yeah. Start
training salespeople. Be the first one to show up. Be the guy that says to the boss, I'll run that deposit over to the bank. Be that person that says, hey, if somebody can't make it in, call me first. I'll cover their shift for them. And I can't stress enough about dressing for success. And, that doesn't mean a suit and tie anymore, but clean and pressed never goes out of style. Shiny shoes never go out of style. Mike taught me for that. And in my career at Curtis Simmons, 10 years, about 3 years into it, I said to myself, I may never get to be a director. I may never get to be a vice president, but I'm going to do all the things that I would do if I was a director or a vice president. I'm going to help the younger people. I'm going to help the store owners. I'm going to try and touch every store owner every week, which is how I started my newsletter.
Mm. You know, one of the things super important for all the younger guys and gals that are watching this is everything counts. And it sounds simple. Yeah, well, of course, Pete, everything counts. And this isn't mine. This is Gary Ryan Blair's. I want to give credit. When you really start to think about everything counts, it's true in your personal life and it's true in your business life. It's just life. Everything counts. Everything good, everything bad, it all counts. And this part about dressing is so important. Might be more important today than ever. And you said something really important about shoes. If you're in the furniture or the mattress business and you're a retail sales associate and you're the decision maker is a woman, she runs the house in America, and she's going to notice two things about you, whether you want her to notice or you don't want her to notice. She's going to look at your shoes and she's going to look at your nails. And guys, we don't always take as good care of our nails as we should. Always make sure your nails and your shoes look good, because it's extremely important. You will be judged. And I want to tell you something else. People laugh at me when I say this. The restroom isn't for you in your store. It's for your customer. And I want you to think about your mother coming into that store, and would your mother approve of that restroom? And if she wouldn't, get cleaning. Sorry.
No, that's one of my points. A book that I highly recommend to read. It's called Dave's Way. It's written by Dave Thomas, who's the guy that started Wendy's. And he talks about starting a business and keeping a business growing and growing. And just like Sam Walton, he would drive to individual Wendy's stores all the time. And he said his first stop would be the men's room. And he said, I could go in the men's room and I could tell you everything about the operation from there.
Yep. And I got to tell you, if you're a store owner and you have not read Dave's Way, you are cheating yourself out of an incredible experience. I mean, if you think that Dave Thomas just like lucked out and, was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, think again. This dude, he came up in the fast food industry in some of the toughest environments that you can imagine, and he transcended the business. I'll never forget. Do you remember the part about working for Colonel Sanders and he didn't understand? Like, listen, it's great that you hug them and you lift them up after you've torn them down, but why do you have to tear them down in the first place? Why can't you just be consistent with people? And that's what he was. He was consistent. As a matter of fact, people that knew Dave, they knew whenever he walked into a restaurant, he was going to ask one question: what are we doing to attract new customers into our restaurant? He had a mind for advertising, Where's the Beef and all of those iconic commercials. Those weren't on accident. No. That was on purpose. It was because there was a man who knew that no matter how great of a burger he made, and I didn't even know this until I read the book, and he talked about the fact that his meat was never frozen and that's why it was better. And, he had this whole thing. But but he knew no matter how great the product was, he knew the product had to be good, had to be consistent, had to be a clean restaurant, had to look good. But he also knew that he didn't have a business unless the advertising was clicking and it was pulling customers into his stores. So a lot that Dave's Way, I could not agree with you more. That is a great read for every store owner.
And if you think of the ads that they ran when he was the CEO, they never mentioned price.
Nope.
Never was the 99-cent burger or
He was never
50
the
cent.
cheapest. Still,
No.
they still aren't. And he's
No.
been gone for a long time. Yeah.
So then after I left Glick's, because they sold to Rhodes pretty quick after I started with them.
Yeah.
I was really fortunate. We just talked about this organization a couple of days ago on the phone. I spent 10 years with Sofa Express in Columbus.
Yes.
And so I was fortunate to start when they were opening their 7th store and stayed with them through 70 stores. And I was really lucky. It's the only person in our business, I think, with this name to work for Townie Quinn. I'm sure you met Townie somewhere along the line.
I never met him, but I heard all about him.
He was absolutely the greatest salesperson I ever met. And I'll tell you a quick story, and then I'll tell you his rule for success. But I had just started with them. I was with the company maybe 3 months, and I was in the corporate office on Hamilton Road in Columbus. And Townie comes out of his office, and he says to me, Gordon, can you spare a couple of minutes for me? And he's like the CEO of this company. And so I said, sure. And I said, what can I help you with? And he says, do you think our stores are clean? And I said, well, they're clean, but they're not mom clean, like I like to call it. So they're definitely Pete and Gordon clean, but they're not they're not mom clean. They're not wife clean for sure. And he said, yeah, he said, I pay people to clean your stores, and I'm not really happy. Why do you think that is? So at that time, my son was about 9 years old. And I remember I would say, clean your room. And he would say, I'm done 5 minutes later. And then I would have to go back and explain, clean your room means vacuum, dust, put all your clothes away. So I said to Tony, I think maybe we're not giving them direction of how to clean, what the expectations are. We're just saying, come in and clean the stores. And they think they're doing a great job. He said, that makes a good point. How could we communicate to them? I wish there was a way that we could communicate to our cleaning people how to clean the store. And I said, well, if you like, I said, sit down and I could write some directions. And this is before word processors were a big thing and so on. And I said, I can write that down. He says, really? It's like, you could describe how to clean every part of the store? And I said, yeah. He says, oh, that's just terrific. If you could do that, that'd be great. If you could have it to me maybe in about a week or 10 days. And I walk out of his office. It's like, crap, I don't want to do that. I got enough stuff to do.
Yeah, I got 20. I'm going to have 20 hours in this project and I'm already too busy. And this guy made me tell him, I ended up saying, thank you, sir.
Yes. May I have another?
Yeah, may I have another? Exactly.
But I did write it out, and I pretty much wrote down what the materials, what the starting things you needed, a bucket and a mop, and what cleaning detergent to use, and so on. And it was a good project for me. But the thing, I think Self-Express in a lot of ways was one of the greatest retail operations that I ever worked for, because they invested in their salespeople. Weekly training at the store done by the store manager or any factory rep that you want to come into the store. And then a monthly all team meeting. And then as they grew, it was regional meetings too. And additional training for the store managers monthly too. So they were all about the training. They paid their salespeople well. I managed their store at the Tunnel Crossing Mall area. Mm-hmm. So you I'm sure you can picture it.
Yeah, I know right where it is.
And as a store manager, I had 17 salespeople, and I was the 5th highest paid person in the store. And I was delighted to be the fifth highest paid person in the store. And one day my boss came to me and said, you've got people in the store making more than you. How do you feel about it? And I said, those salespeople, they work harder than they deserve it. And every dollar they make, I make a quarter out of it. So I'm very happy with that. So he paid people well. He trained them well. Deliveries were not flawless, but they were near flawless. And bestsellers in stock.
Nice.
And customers were taken care of. And Chris, if you could bring up Townie's rules. So the important thing he taught me was, and he taught us all this, in case of a service dispute, err on the side of the customer.
Amen.
If you're not sure what to do it from the customer's side. And furthermore, his rule was whoever picked up the phone was authorized to solve the customer's complaint right there. So you didn't have to go this person to you got to speak to the manager, or you got to speak to the regional manager, or you got to speak to the district manager, and on and on. Everybody was entitled. If a salesperson or if the receptionist said to that customer, sorry, you don't like your sofa, go ahead and keep it for free and we'll send you your money back, they would live by it. Now they would coach them, don't do that again next time, but there's another solution, but they would back you up on your decision. That's an extreme case.
Yeah. Townie sounds like somebody that I worked for. I was really lucky in my retail career. I worked for Kronheim's Furniture, Gene Finnick, Larry Corniss. And we had 4 or 5 stores. I think we had 55 to 65 salespeople at different times. And every month they would close the stores. We wouldn't open till noon. One day, it was during the week. And they would bring us to a very nice restaurant that basically it was just for us. And we would fill up the restaurant. Would be served a lovely breakfast, and they would make a presentation to us. They would show us pretty much every ad that was going to run. They went through the 8 to 12 page full color circular before anybody else was doing it, item by item, and any problems with any inventory and where we might be light and when the shipments are going to arrive and how to manage the customer's expectations. Everything that we needed to know about the direction of the company, when we were going to open new stores. This is a company that, sent us, paid for everything and sent us to the Broyhill factories. So, I'm one of the few people that I've been to like 15 different Broyhill factories in early in my career. And it's just like, people don't send their salespeople to factories nearly as much as they used to. They don't take the time to really value their salespeople and say, you're important to us. And while we're having this discussion about advertising and what we're doing to create traffic and where you can see these ads and how to handle everything, we're going to feed you some of the best food you've ever had in your life. And so, they were elevating us, right? Because I was a poor kid from upstate New York. Gordon, I didn't even know what fork to eat with. I really didn't. I got to tell you something. Being around people who treated other people with respect burned all the lessons that I learned from my dad into my mind even more, that, hey, we treat people with respect and we treat ourselves with respect. And sometimes I worry that we're starting to miss that a little bit throughout society, in all stores, not just our stores. And there are certainly some really great operators out there that do things like Kronheim's and do things like uh, Townie at Sofa Express. But for you to have Jay, Ron, and Mike and Townie, this explains a lot about what you bring to the table. I mean, sometimes you just have to look up to the sky and say thank you, right?
100% agree. 30 years in retail. And sometimes I say to my wife, that maybe my one regret is all those weekends I worked, all the holidays, 4th of July, Memorial Day, all the nights that I'd come home at 10 o'clock at night. But she has to remind me that that's what helped me through my career. And when I made that move from retailing to manufacturing, the fact that I can understand what it's like to lose a sale because the factory didn't ship it or they shipped the wrong thing. I can understand what motivates salespeople to sell and what demotivates delivery people to not want to deliver a particular item. And that experience that you and I share, Pete, is just it's incredible. And it was sometimes painful, often joyful, but it's what makes us us.
Do you want to hear a funny story?
I do.
So here I'm a kid. I'm brand new out of college. I worked a couple of GOBs, which was actually a great learning experience because, that's probably something everybody should experience. And it definitely goes into the bucket of things I don't want to do. But I was running a mattress store. And as you well know, Gordon, sometimes mattress stores can be really slow. And so, I'm just out of college and, I'm raring to go. I want to wait on customers. I want to make it happen. I, got a young family. I want to make something happen. And nobody comes in. I mean, I get there at like 8 or 9 in the morning. We open at 10. I'm closing it up at 8 o'clock, Gordon. I'm not making this up. Swear to God on my father's grave, this is true. 8 o'clock, a customer wants to come in, and I'm got the key in my hand. And she says, "Can we come in?" I said, "Only if you promise to buy."
Good for you.
And she says, "Oh, we're going to buy." Well, Gordon, I forgot Rule 101. One of the very first rules in retail selling is if you're going to be late with a customer after hours, close the front door, especially if you're alone, right? I didn't do that because I was still wet behind the ears. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but one customer after another. At one point, Gordon, I had 3 customers. This is 1983, Gordon. The highest priced mattress on the floor was the Serta Perfect Sleeper Masterpiece. It was back when Serta had 3 perfect sleepers: the Tranquility, the Avante, and the Masterpiece. I made 5 or 6 sales, didn't get home till 10:30 at night, and it was like $4,100. And $4,100 if you work 5 days a week, you have 2 weeks off. $4,100 is $1 million writer. It's the magic, one of the magic numbers. And so I was just so happy and proud all the way till I got home. We didn't have cell phones back then. And I had a very anxious wife that was not happy with me.
That's funny. That's great.
Gordon, thank you for sharing this with us. This is amazing. And so anybody that's going to the Brand Source show, Gordon is going to pour all of this into 55 minutes. So you get like Reader's Digest of all of his years of experience and Jay and Ron and Mike and Townie pouring into Gordon. You get the Reader's Digest version of all this stuff that can help make your store insanely more successful. And it's going to be at Brand Source. 1:30 on Sunday.
Yep, but
Or
I'll be
1:30
there.
on Monday.
I'll be there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So if you're unable to come to the class or you just want to chat, I'll be one of the biggest guys there. So you'll find me.
That's awesome. I will definitely be there. I am looking forward to seeing you again, my friend. And I know you're going to knock it out of the park, because one of the things I've always noticed about you in the short time that we've been friends together is you are always so prepared. And it's just a pleasure to work with somebody who's so professional. And now I know your story. Now I know your mentors. And guys, find mentors to help you get to where you need to get. And the other thing I'm going to tell you too is be a mentor. I'm sure that if I put this out, I would find a bunch of people that will tell me how great and how awesome Gordon is and what a great mentor he was to them. And so not only have mentors, but be a mentor. Anything you'd like to say before we say goodbye to everybody?
Just come and see me at Brand Source or connect with me on LinkedIn or the Mattress Industry Network. And if you want my opinion, I will give it for you. You may not like it, but you're definitely going to get it.
Everybody go out there, have fun, enjoy the rest of Vegas market, and join me and Gordon at Brand Source in the Venetian in a week. Thanks a million, and sell a million. Take care.